Yeah. I feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get like 54 receiving yards, and I'm going to regret not going 50 instead of 60. But a Luke Musgrave touchdown seems so likely to me that I don't want to. I don't want to give Ryan a chance of beating me. So I'm playing for the win. I'm playing for keeps here.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I
good. And I
figured
still
what
have a
the
little
hell.
bit.
I figured what the hell, I called him for a touchdown on last night's episode. Might as well make it my millionaire bet.
Yeah, I got to set my lineup here too for DFS.
Um,
And
you can only rent it, but you can rent it on Prime Video.
Ugh.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
If it's like $5, I'll rent it. If it's like 20, screw that.
Oh, I doubt it's that much.
You can rent it. Let's see. Amazon Prime Video got you pulled up. You can rent that movie for $3.99.
Oh, okay. I might do that then tonight.
Yeah, let me know if it holds up. If it holds up, I'll totally rewatch it. I guarantee you, Katie's never seen it. Why the hell would anybody have seen that movie?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I have like zero desire to see that movie.
It's
It was.
Mr. Show, man, I remember watching that in college with people, and we were all while watching it like, this is amazing, and there's no way this is going to last because it's way too far ahead of its time. Like we knew while watching it, no one was going to appreciate it.
yeah. Yeah, like that's the next thing. Yeah. I'm with that.
Let's see. All right, let me go on Amazon right now.
But yeah, I was gonna say I'm good to go. Still no TJ Hawkinson props out there, Waleed.
Yeah, well,
Are you
it's a late game.
serious?
I don't care. I'm just going to leave it open and say I don't know what his receiving over is going to be.
He-
Let's go.
Welcome to Gambletown, the empire of Gambletown, to be clear. I care. I care about my peasants. Okay, in
Prove it.
Gambletown. Oh, of course. Are you not supposed to? Dun,
Awesome.
dun, 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 dun.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
Joe Burrow didn't end on an injury report, and now what's his name is tweeting.
Waleed, tell us about how we did last week. I think we did pretty good.
I believe how we did last week was if I had to use one word, it would be kick ass. We were, as a show, 11-4. I myself went 5-0 on all my top 5 bets.
My man.
We were 1-5 on parlays. Tony, that was you, our winner.
Got you.
And I think it's time to recognize Sam Laporta, destroyer of parlays. Because if his receiving overhead hits, we would have been 4-2 on parlays as a show.
That
and
when he needed like 20 yards to hit, and they threw a 25-yard touchdown pass to the tight end, and it wasn't Laporta. That was
it was
fun,
like
right?
Well, it was like we all were like, yes. Yeah, we got it was like that was actually kind of crushing.
Right?
We got real excited, and then we realized at that point in the game he didn't get it, and we were not going to hit those parlays. The highs were high, the lows were lows, and we are 1-2 in millionaire bets. And your God Emperor is here. Is there music playing? Can I just not hear it? You told me there would be music. This is a terrible way to start my empire. How dare you? Yeah. God damn it. I'm going to have the Oompa Loompas take our producer out back and teach him the meaning of respect. Kindly, because I am a benevolent God Emperor.
So, are we ready to hop in, guys? Because
I am really ready to hop in.
I like this week a lot. So let's talk. Waleed, you filled in on the podcast for us last night.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Gambletown has been controlling football absurdity this week, and it kicks major ass. Actually, is it Gambletown or TH Fantasy? I kind of feel like it's both.
They're
all the same thing.
But Waleed was filling in because Shane is going to this game tomorrow. The Chargers and Packers. The Chargers are 3-point road favorites, you guys. Green Bay win is plus 134 on the money line, and the total's 43.5. Ryan, start us off.
All right. This week, sorry, let me clear my voice. This week, this game has one of my top 5 bets of the week. Also in TH Fantasy World, the tight end for Green Bay is my mid-tier kind of shitty tight end of the week at 5,100 and DFS on FanDuel. Luke Musgrave. I have him over 2.5 receptions. I know you guys have stuff with him too, so I'll save that for you. But I don't have a lot in this game outside of Musgrave touchdown. Musgrave over in receptions. I also have him for a touchdown, but we'll get to that later. I will say though that the Chargers defense is horrible. So I don't think Green Bay is going to have a tough time running the ball or passing the ball. The same on the other side with Herbert and their offense. Maybe look at some Allen lines. But I will say that the Packers right now are 1-5 against the spread in their past 6 games, and unders are 6-1 in the past 7 Chargers games. So I might bet the under at 43.5. But other than that, I don't have too much on this game. Who else?
I'm gonna be real with you. I kind of worry about the under at 43.5 because I think the reason why Chargers unders have been hitting is because Vegas has been giving them more than they deserve. And I think they're finally catching up. You know what I mean? That's just a thought.
I haven't looked, but that makes sense that the Chargers points lines are probably in the 46 and over upper 40s lines, you know.
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna check.
I definitely feel like that line is way too low for the over.
I mean, it's juiced to the it's juiced to the over right now at minus 115. It's 105 for the under.
The Chargers total points is 23.5. So that under is actually plus odds. I don't know. Food for thought. Anything else, Ryan?
No. What do you guys got?
Waleed?
So on this game, this has my same game parlay. It's my regular parlay of the week. Here's the thing. One of the reasons why I've been doing so well on parlays this year is because I keep betting against the Chargers pass defense. And if you look at the receiving props, they're insanely low. You got Romeo Doubs at 32.5, Jaden Reed at 33.5, Luke Musgrave at 26.5 against the Chargers secondary. I feel like even if the Chargers get a big lead, they might get this in garbage time. So my same game parlay of the week at $10, I used my my free bet that didn't hit on Thursday nights for this guy at plus 543. I added Musgrave, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs. I want all those receiving overs because that's 100 yards. Jordan Love gets garbage time like yards into fourth quarter, and that's like 2 catches for each of those guys. On top of that, Musgrave at 26.5. The Chargers are giving up the third most yards to tight ends. Per route run, I think Musgrave is getting like 1.5 yards per route run. And for the routes that he's running, he should easily smash that over. Like the Musgrave matchup feels like the best line, but honestly, I had a hard time choosing between Doubs, Reed, and Musgrave. I like all of them so much. I just made that my parlay. But my top 5 bet of the week in this game is Musgrave over. I think the Jordan Love passing over too, 227.5 is a strong bet. It's a bet that I like this week. Other than that, whatever. I think Keenan Allen over 85.5 is a little bit harder to justify. He might get it. I think he'll have a good fantasy day, but my concern is more along the lines of, it's the problem with the Jordan Love or with the Keenan Allen over is that he's going to have Jair Alexander on him. Well, he might. Yeah. The problem is their defensive coordinator's dumb enough to put a linebacker on him. We've seen it, so it's hard. I feel like it's a neutral play, so I won't do it. The Austin Eckler receiving over at 33.5 though is also really interesting. If you look at the receiving splits for what he should be doing, I want to see what my line says over the last 4 weeks. Here, going to a tab, but yeah, Austin. You know what? Maybe it's not as strong a play as I think. Yeah, it's kind of neutral for me, even though I think it's a good matchup. I think betting on Packer receivers because their lines are so low and that pass defense is so bad is where the real value is in this
game. Okay. One of my top 5 bets of the week is in this game, and like everyone's kind of talked about, Jaden Reed at 33.5 is one of my top 5 bets of the week. Obviously, the Chargers are real bad at stopping anybody through the air. They're 10th in the league in how much they use zone, and in all the efficiency metrics, they're bottom 5. Jaden Reed leads the team in fantasy points per route run versus zone. He's 33rd best in the league. He leads the team in PFF receiving grades, and he leads the team in yards per route run against the zone specifically. So to me, this screams Jaden Reed. He's only gone under 33.5 1, 2, 3 times this year, and he's playing the Chargers. So I have multiple. I want one of my top 5 bets of the week to satisfy multiple different conditions. You know what I mean? And so that line is multiple conditions for me. So I that one's one of my plays of the week. All right, ready to move on?
I am.
Sure. Let's go. We're going to Jacksonville, where the Jaguars are 7-point home favorites against the Titans. A Titans upset would be plus 260 on the money line, and the total's 40.5. Waleed.
I honestly don't have any action in this game. I kind of think that the Derrick Henry rushing under might be a solid play. I really don't like that this week, but at the same time, I don't. This feels like it's going to be a under game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring on either side, and I don't want to bet on it because of that.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a close game, so I do not like the spread at -7 right now, even though the Jaguars right now this season are 4-1 against the spread as favorites with 3 straight covers. I think this is going to be like a 24-21. Something like that. I think this is going to be a closer game than we think. I actually might bet the Derrick Henry over. Derrick Henry has 4 consecutive 100-yard rushing games against the Jaguars. Now, I know that this year's a lot different, that they're splitting with Tajay Spears, and the Jaguars have the 5th best rushing defense right now, depending on what site you're looking at. They're only allowing around 86.4 yards per game. But 55 seems kinda low for Derrick Henry in this game. Um, Another thing, let's see. The Titans, let's see, yeah.
So
The
I'm
Titans
gonna.
have only go ahead, Wally.
I was gonna say because you're saying it seems low, but my problem is the Jacksonville Jaguars' run defense is one of the best in football.
Yeah,
They give up the 4th fewest yards to
right.
running backs, and Derrick Henry's usage being split with Tajay Spears makes me think that line is low for a reason. It's a trap.
Okay.
That's my
And
personal thought process on that. So
maybe I'll bet Derrick Henry touchdown. Um, but right now, Tennessee does not have a passing touchdown on the road at all this season. Um, that could change because Jaguars do have a good run defense, but that great against they're not that great against the pass. Another player I will not be doing any lines this week. Stay away from Evan Ingram. The Titans are really good against the tight end. Depending where you look, they're anywhere from like they give up like the second to third fewest fantasy points to tight ends. So I'm fading Evan Ingram this week and probably going to bet like Kirk's line at 60.5. Jaguars are going to have to pass just to set the pace of this game, especially they're going to be mad after last week's embarrassing loss. But other than that, I like Kirk's over 60.5. I'm might I'm a 50-50 bet right now with the Henry. I got to do a little bit more research. But
yeah, my concern with that one too would be the Jaguars have given up exactly 2 rushing touchdowns this year, 2 running backs,
sure.
and 1
You know
receiving
who's
touchdown to a running back.
you know that I'm looking now, you know whose line's pretty spicy? Tajay Spears over 2.5 receptions. I think I kind of like that because I think Tennessee's going to be playing from behind most of the game.
Well, I will say that the receiving aspect of it, the Jaguars actually give up a lot of. They give up the 3rd most receiving yards to running backs. They're also,
Okay.
from a target standpoint, I want to say the running back is the most targeted position against this defense. They also give up
9.2 a
the most
game.
receptions. Yep. So the Tajee Spears reception line, yeah, might actually be a really strong play.
Sure.
So the Vegas is telling me, I don't have anything in this game, but Vegas is telling me that the Jags should control this game, and most likely they'd be controlling it through the air, given that that's where you beat Tennessee historically.
Yeah.
And if this game has sneaky like shootout potential, like this is kind of one of those games that I thought about when we did our shits to riches on the show last night, because it's a game that nobody's going to be on, where there are mismatches and there are opportunities to exploit it. Like Jacksonville gets roasted by wide receivers, and if this game has any sort of like scoring, you know that Hopkins is going to get his over. If you think that the Jags are going to be in control of this game, there's no way Tajay Spears doesn't get over 18.5 receiving yards. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of potential in this game, especially in DFS, I think, if you want to do like a more creative game stack to try to leverage this game, whereas other people are going to be in, Detroit, Chicago, or San Francisco, Tampa Bay. Like, this could be a really nice pivot game if you believe that this game has scoring potential. And if so, there's a ton of stuff to exploit in these passing games. So
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I don't have anything because I'm still not confident enough to put money on this game blowing up, but it's got all the makings of like a game that people that went contrarian do really well off of. All right. Next up, Vegas. They're going to Miami. Miami are 13.5 point home favorites. Vegas upset is plus 570 on the money line, and the point total is 46.5. Ryan, start us off.
I do like Josh Jacobs in this game. Um, I like his anytime touchdown. Um, I might even bet him for 2 touchdowns. No one's done it yet this year against Miami, but Vegas might have the potential to do so. Other than that, I don't like anyone else on the the Raiders offense. Some lines we're looking at. Um, I do like Tyreek Hill's reception over at 6.5. He'll probably have 8 to 10 receptions on 10 to 12 targets. And Devontae Adams potentially too. His is only at 5.5. It's pretty juiced to the over. But you could put that in a parlay. Um, Other than that, I don't have too much in this game because I think it's going to be a horrible Miami blowout. But let's see. Oh, so yeah, each of the past 8 meetings between these teams have gone over the total.
Okay.
So that is at, let's see, that's at 46.5 right now.
Yep.
So that might be a fun little bet to bet the over, especially because you got minus 105 right now.
Yeah.
But also Raiders games are 8-2 to the under this season. But we've got Miami who could potentially put up 45 points on this team. So as long as it's 45-7, we're good with that over. But other than that, I don't have too much on this game.
All right. Waleed?
I'm with Ryan on the Josh Jacobs rushing over. I think it's a solid play. But the play I like more is Raheem Mostert and Devin Achan. Sorry. Both of their rushing overs. The Raiders give up the third most yards to running backs, and these guys are guys who can get it. And like the Raiders have been strong the last couple of weeks, but that doesn't mean I believe in them. Like they've definitely been using Josh Jacobs more since they fired Josh McDaniels, but you can run on this defense, and I think Miami is going to run them. I agree that it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be close, but I do think the rushing game is where the value is on betting this game.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't really have anything on this game.
Okay. My millionaire bet of the week is in this game. It is. Should I wait?
You can wait. You can say it now.
Ryan waited, so I'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just want to point out before we get to the millionaire bets, Miami has, according to the fantasy points data suite, the number 1 projected defense adjusted rush grade of the week. So they take rushing success metrics where it's like how many yards do you get before contact on a given play, and they pair that with how many yards before contact does the defense give up on a usual run play. And Miami, when you combine the two, Miami's running backs are projected to have 2.74 yards before contact per rushing attempt.
That's too much. That's too much space.
Yeah,
that becomes 20 yards.
Right. So we'll talk more about that when millionaire bet time talk comes around. So let's move on to another football game. We've got Dallas going to Carolina. The Cowboys are 10.5-point favorites. A Carolina home win is plus 440, and the line is 41.5. Waleed.
I mean, first off, I feel like it needs to be said, if you can bet on CeeDee Lamb, you might as well bet on his receiving over. I know that Carolina's been good against like the pass, but the reason they've been good against the pass isn't, I don't think so much that their secondary is good as that they're so easy to run on. On that note, I also think the Tony Pollard rushing over at 66.5, that line feels really low, but part of the issue is the usage. Like, I think Rico Dowdle at 27.5, that rushing over is also a solid play.
Sure.
So, like, this Carolina run defense is one of the worst in football. They're giving up what are you giving up? The 5th most yards to running backs?
No, it's like the 2nd most.
It's 2nd in yards per game.
Yeah.
It's tough to say with Pollard. I'm probably gonna bet the over. like you said, Waleed,
Yeah.
just because of the fact Carolina's giving up so many points to backs. But I will say that Pollard has only scored a little over 21 fantasy points over the last 3 games, which is kind of weird for that offense. But I think I feel safe with the Pollard over on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, but I kind of want to talk about CeeDee Lamb over his last 3 games. He's got 14 targets, 12 receptions, 158 yards, 16 targets, 11 receptions, 191 yards, 14 targets, 11 catches, 151 yards. Like that
Hmm.
that 3-game stretch is madness. I mean, hold on, I'm doing some quick math here real quick. He has in 3 games 500 yards.
Yeah.
That's and that's one of the reasons why the Pollard thing is kind of scary. Is even when they're ahead, they're just still throwing it to CeeDee, and they should have honestly. CeeDee, there was a reason he was everyone's favorite wide receiver in the class of because he was the same year as Justin Jefferson, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, but he was everyone's favorite wide receiver coming out of college for a reason.
Right.
And it feels like they're finally we have a stud receiver. Let's just keep peppering him with targets. It works for Stephon Diggs. It works for A.J. Brown. It works for Justin Jefferson. And it's working for CeeDee Lamb. So that's why I really like that receiving over. Because, I mean, if he gets those targets, he gets 100 yards.
Sure. My same game parlay is in this game, and it's nuts. I just decided to go Dallas Onslaught, and I'm going with that CeeDee Lamb receiving line, which I believe in strongly. I think Pollard, given Carolina's hemorrhaging to running backs, I think this is the game where we see Pollard break one and get, 60 of those yards on a single carry.
Yeah.
Let me talk for a second about my man Big Ferg, Jake Ferguson.
Oh yeah.
I didn't take the receiving yardage line because Carolina is actually pretty good at limiting yardage, especially yards after the catch to tight ends. But I took him as part of that parlay at 3.5 receptions over.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, he has in the last 3 games, he has 16 first read targets. So
Ooh, nice.
that to me screams hey, not only is this guy gonna get a good amount of looks, but they're throwing it to him when he gets those looks. Because first read targets are fine, or first read looks are fine, but first read targets, that's where the money's at,
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, over the first 10 weeks of the season, my man Big Ferg, 9 red zone targets. The tight end with the second most has 5.
Ferg's been killing it in red zone usage. I think he's been tops among tight ends all season long for that. It's one of the reasons why I grabbed him in a bunch of fantasy leagues just to have him, because if I'm going to put in a tight end and I don't have a top 3 guy, Ferguson's just a great guy to have.
I'm going to say this right now, and anybody that that listens, I want you to remember this, and I want you to put it in a little envelope, and I want you to put it in your pocket, and I want you to carry it with you everywhere you go, and I want you to think of me when it happens. Jake Ferguson is to tight ends what Jamal Williams was to running backs last year.
Oh shit!
I like that. I like that comparison.
It's just gonna keep happening, bro. I'm thinking about just side betting a Jake Ferguson touchdown just cause. And going forward this year, anytime you see an advantageous matchup for tight ends that Dallas is playing, you hammer a Big Ferg touchdown because they just throw to him in the red zone.
Sure. Anything else, Tony?
No, that's it for this game. Let's move on.
No, really quick though. I wanted to just point out. You remember that Akbar segment from Fantasy NFL Network? It's a trap.
Yeah.
I do want to just point out. Okay, so Dallas is what 10.5 point road favorites, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So road favorites of at least 7 points are 0-8-1 against the spreads this season, right? And this is the second time a team has been a double-digit road favorite. And guess when that was? Week 3 when Cowboys lost outright to the Arizona Cardinals.
Ooh. And that's And that's something that should be acknowledged, especially with like an onslaught. Like if you're doing DFS, if you're doing fantasy, like there's a chance that this game is a lot closer than people give it credit for. There's a chance
Right.
that this
So
ends a 7-point game.
yeah, I am not taking Dallas to cover the 10.5, just because of that stat.
Yeah, that's definitely scary.
Well,
I
you'll
I don't
notice
I can't see a universe where Carolina. Uh,
I know it seems weird because like all the defensive metrics for Dallas work against the horrible offensive metrics for
and the difference
Carolina.
between this game and Arizona was that Arizona, we were saying it before that game, like Tony and I were thumping on them. We were like, Arizona is a way better team than everyone's giving them credit for. And then they won, and then everyone's like, is Arizona good? And Tony and I were just like,
Right.
we were on this shit
Yeah.
before you guys. Come on.
Right.
I
And
want
it
to
was the
point
big
out. Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
I was gonna
you
say
go.
it was the beginning of the season, so Dallas could have just, not really prepared as well as they could have for that game, thinking that that would be pretty easy. That's all I wanted to say.
I
Yeah.
I I think like if you notice the fourth leg of that parlay is not a Dallas cover, it's a Dallas win. And that's
Yeah.
by design, There's a chance that like
Sure.
they kick a field goal, like a short field goal as time expires, just as easily as they could win 45-10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, let's go on. I know we're going to have a lot to talk about for this game, so we need to set a little time aside here and get after it. We have Arizona going to Houston. All right, Arizona, 6-point road underdogs. A road win would be plus 210. The line, 48.5. Ryan, start us
Yeah.
off.
The highest point total of the week, as we all predicted,
Right.
right? At the beginning of the
Right.
year. Arizona versus
Yep.
Houston. That's going to be a shootout.
I will the opposite. I will probably bet the -6 for Houston. The Cardinals are 0-4 against the spread in their past 4 road games. Um, so, and I think I can easily see Houston winning by a touchdown, 7 points or more. So that's pretty smash for me. Right now, I do have my same game parlay from this game. I also have 2 of my top 5 bets of the week. So right now, I have Trey McBride over 4.5 receptions.
Go.
Kyler Murray has developed a wicked chemistry with this man. And now that, Zach Ertz is still on IR, he loves the tight end. And we saw that Murray loved Ertz last year, and Trey McBride has taken that step into filling in that role. I also have CJ Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns. That just seems easy. And I mean, it's super juice. It's like minus 190 for him to have to him have 2 passing touchdowns. So I think Vegas is all over the high scoringness of this game. I could easily see either quarterback throwing for 2 touchdowns because I think this game's gonna be nuts. I hope that it's like 38-35 or something ridiculous like that.
Sure.
Um, and with that narrative in mind, I went with this game for my same game parlay. So I parlayed those 2 that I just mentioned, the McBride over 4.5 receptions and the Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I also put Schultz's receiving yards line in there at over 47.5.
Okay.
I also put in Wilson's line of over 2.5 receptions, and then I think that CJ is going to throw for over 300 yards. So I also put in CJ's over at 262.5 passing yards. Now I did use my 30% odd boots for this game. It was somewhere in the 800s. So with the 30%, I got plus 1073. I put $5. I put $5 down to win almost $60.
My man.
I love it.
And that's just because I think this game's going to be crazy. And let's see, what else was I gonna? What else did I have for this? Let me switch screens here.
You got 2
Um,
of your top 5 bets in this game. You got
right.
same game parlay.
So CJ Stroud has completed 64.5% of his passes of 20 or more air yards this season. So that bodes well, especially because the Cardinals defense gives up the somewhere 8th to 10th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. If you guys want to mess with Nico or Tank Dell's reception overs or reception props, I think they're in for a great game too.
Wouldn't it
And
suck
let's
to
see.
be going against Tank Dell in your big money league this week, Ryan?
I know, right?
Something tells me Ryan's going up against Tank Dell in his big money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure is.
And I already got off to a bad start by having Gus Edwards on my bench.
Ooh.
Well, I have Breece Hall and I have David Montgomery, and I ended up starting 2 wide receivers in my 2 flex spots, but I knew I should have put Gus in.
Which receivers?
Whatever.
Because I don't know that I would have benched Gus Edwards there. I like him a lot this
week. I don't have Sleeper pulled up right now, but I believe it's like Kirk and Addison, maybe.
You just can't quit Kirk. That's what it is.
I know. The Cardinals do have an 8-game losing streak on the road right now, which ties them with the Titans for the longest active streak in the NFL. I think they're going to continue that losing streak, and Houston's going to win by at least a touchdown. Sorry, I had a lot for that game, but
no, you're good.
Oh, this is the game to have a lot for.
Yeah.
All right, Waleed, what do you got?
I actually don't really have as much on this game, although I do think Trey McBride and Dalton Schultz are both really strong plays this week. I do like them. I feel like you already covered that, Ryan. I will say that I disagree with you on one thing about Houston winning by 7. I actually think that Arizona Cardinals money line looks real tasty. I could definitely see Kyler going off. I don't think that we've adjusted for the fact that Kyler might be good. I also think just having Arizona cover, I think both of those lines are definitely something that should be in play here. Don't sleep on the Cardinals. I know they're going on the road, but Cardinals are going to be a sneaky good second half team this year.
Okay.
All right. My regular parlay is also a same game parlay, and it's in this game. And I've had this fear all week that this game is going to disappoint. And so I wanted a parlay that also that could hit even if the game disappoints simply because the mismatches are so profound.
Yeah.
I took Devin Singletary's adjusted rush line because it was like 76 or something like that when I was looking.
Yeah. And I will say that, like, I saw that, and the reason I didn't have that as one of my bets, I was looking at, if it was in the 60s, I would have had Devin Singletary as one of my top 5 bets. 74.5, I got a little bit nervous. So I kind of like went away from that.
So I took an adjusted yardage prop at 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, even if he gets 100% rush share like he had last week, like, who knows? Who knows,
Dameon
man?
Pierce is out, and this is
that is correct.
Really good matchup for Singletary. So
it is. It's one of the legs that I'm least worried about, but at the same time, like, I didn't want to play that actual line. And then I also threw on Michael Wilson's receiving over at 32.5. Houston, 7th highest zone percentage. You know the drill. Michael Wilson is the zone beater. There's no other Arizona wide receiver in the top 90 when it comes to beating the zone. At some point, you got to expect McBride's not going to be getting those splash plays over the middle. They're going to start shading his way, and Kyler's going to start looking at his receivers. With that said, I still took as the third leg of this parlay Trey McBride over 4.5 receptions because, well, I like Trey McBride. I've got him on a bunch of dynasty teams. His target share over the last 3 games without Zach Ertz, 38.9%, 25%, and 29%. So enjoy that. Dell and Nico are good runbacks if you wanted to focus on DFS in this game, but at the same time, I think there's a chance that this game could end up sucking, and if it does, all of those 3 conditions could still hit. So that's kind of where I'm at with this game.
And I do think it's worth noting that Houston, with Trey McBride, Houston's giving up the 6th most yards to the tight end position, and that's having played 1 less game. So, that matchup is insane. And from a touchdown standpoint, I feel like they've given up 4 touchdowns to tight ends. Like, Trey McBride is a great DFS play, especially, but I like his reception and his yardage totals this week for that reason. Devin Singletary is a guy I do really like too, but at the same time, like I feel like you guys covered it. I really like what, and I want to point out something that Tony did when he went with the 50 yards for Devin Singletary. It's very important. Like when you're doing a parlay, don't get greedy. Like Tony's still getting plus 276 on it for things that like by like limiting his risk a little bit within that.
Sure.
And that's the way to do it.
Right. It's sometimes like if it's a matchup that I still think is great, like I want to bet on great players and great matchups. That's where I want to devote most of my money to. So like for a solid player in a great matchup, I still want to hedge a little bit.
Yeah, and Devin Singletary is just a guy.
Right.
He's just a guy who's got a really good matchup.
Right.
And
So,
I just went ham on this with my same game parlay because I have a gut feeling about this game script. So that's why mine.
And we know don't disregard Ryan's guts.
But I gotta tell you, like, if this game is the game that Vegas thinks it is, that's a great bet.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So, like,
and nice thing about that bet too is like those outcomes kind of play within each other too.
They do.
Stroud, if Stroud throws for 263 yards, he probably has 2 touchdowns. I like that, and that means Schultz is probably getting a lot of looks because the Arizona Cardinals also giving up some yards to tight ends. So,
and it means that Arizona's going to have to pass. So
yeah.
I also for the Degenerates Gambit, I took Arizona to cover 6. So, so we'll see how that works out because we're going head to head here. I'll challenge you. Let's go on. We're gonna go to Iowa and Rutgers. No. Hang on. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Cleveland are 1.5 point home favorites. Pittsburgh upset is plus 110 on the money line, and the total is 32.5. Ryan, you're more of the Big Ten guy. Why don't you start us off?
Okay, so historically, when unders are this low, you bet the under. Right now, Cleveland's defense is allowing the fewest total yards per game to opponents, and they also are great at limiting fantasy production for all offensive positions: quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. I am staying away. Yeah, I'm staying away from anyone on Pittsburgh's offense this week, even the running backs, even Harris, even Warren. I will say though that the Steelers are 6-1 against the spread in their past 7 road games. And another reason to support my unders are 51, 24, and 1 in Steelers road games in the past 10 seasons, including 3-0 this season. Bet the under.
Damn, I kind of like that. Ryan, you know what? I'm putting $5 on that right now.
Yeah, I'm making a note of that because I think that you made a really compelling case.
And that's yeah, that's all I really got for this game. I might even throw down a buck or two on a Cleveland Browns defensive touchdown.
See, that's interesting because
plus 900.
I like the Pittsburgh Steelers at plus 1200 with DTR in there.
Oh, I guess that's true. That's true. And that's another reason. That's another reason to bet the under too. Is I don't think either offense is going to do well. I could see this easily being 10-7 or something like that.
On same game player props, I don't like doing for single outcome for single games. I don't like doing unders because it can just happen in one play. Season long, unders are much stronger play than I think on an individual game basis. But defensive touchdowns for this game is the only thing I would be looking at. And I think Cleveland and Pittsburgh are both solid plays. I like Pittsburgh a lot more because there is TJ Watt versus a rookie quarterback is what I see there.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm with you. I think you made a great case. I'm not even trying to refute your under or the Steelers.
And really quick, I just pulled up the weather for Cleveland tomorrow, and it's not supposed to be crazy. High of 49, low of 35, winds about 10-12 miles an hour. So nothing crazy in terms of weather, but this Cleveland defense is going to shut down Pittsburgh. Bet that under, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. I wish that we would have had this conversation before I did my Degenerates Gambit, because one of my picks of the week up there, which by the way I am 23-17, was Pittsburgh to win outright. I took the money line. Look, man, I like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but like
It's not a bad bet, I don't think. I mean, because
but
this, yeah.
well, no, my problem is that I wish that I had paired that with the under, so I could have gotten like plus
Oh,
270.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking of doing.
So, like, let's be real though. Like, Cleveland, I get you, man. Cleveland's defense, they fucking rule. They're so good, but every defense gets exponential. We should all know this as Bears fans. Every defense gets exponentially worse the longer they're out on the field.
Okay,
And
sure. Yeah, like it always, the bell curve always starts going back. Yeah.
right, correct.
Yeah.
And so you think, like, I really think the super smash here might actually be like the under on the first half total, because like I really think that the reason why Pittsburgh wins this game is because they end up with like 42 minutes time of possession. So if Pittsburgh can sell out and stop the run, then they're in a good spot. So I think this game's going to be a mess. It's when I'm watching last year's games in June, I'm going to come across this game and be like, remember how much that game sucked? And so I'm taking Pittsburgh. Ryan likes the under. I think that would be a fun little parlay if anyone listening likes
Yeah.
money. All right, let's move on to another dumpster fire. We've got the Giants going to Washington. The Manders are 9.5-point favorites. Brian Dable upset special would be plus 350, and the line is 37.5. Waleed, what do you got?
Hold on, sir. I was looking at that first half total, what it was, and that line is 16.5.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That requires 3 scoring drives.
Yeah, basically. That's interesting.
Yeah, like I said, that would be 10-7.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're looking at we're at Manders and Giants. I'll be honest.
Yes,
Got Tommy DeVito at 160.5. I feel like that's an underplay. I don't trust him at all. But the guy I actually like here, I think Sam Howell at 251.5. That's a strong receiving overplay. But that's like and that's actually one of my top 5 bets of the week. Just for how often he he's top 5 in dropbacks. I don't know the exact number, but if I looked it up, I feel like he's at the top of the league in just pass attempts. So I feel pretty good about that. I really don't really want to bet this game outside of that though. Like, this is a week, like, I know Tony loves this week. I didn't feel as strongly about betting this week.
That's okay. Ryan, you got anything?
Yeah.
I don't have too much on this game because it's going to be a pretty crazy Washington outright win. I will say though, this is close to a double-digit spread, but it's not. It's 9.5, and I will be taking Washington minus 9.5. The Giants right now are 2-7 against 2-7-1 against the spread this season, including 1-5 against the spread on the road. So, and I can't get behind Tommy DeVito. I mean, Vegas can't even get behind Tommy DeVito. He's only minus 122 to get over half a touchdown to pass for a touchdown. That's not a lot of confidence. Only other bet I will smash. I might put this with I'm going to probably do minus 9.5 for Washington and bet the Robinson over rush yards. Right now it's at like 60.5.
60.5.
Yeah, I'll probably put that together because Robinson's hot, especially coming off the horrible Seahawks defense last week where he had like over 25 fantasy points. And I think he could easily replicate that this week because at a certain point, Sam Howell's not going to have to pass. So they're just going to be running it.
And that's part of my concern. But I want to point out, when I was saying, Sam Howell is actually, he leads the NFL in dropbacks and in passing. He is, I mean, that's why that 251.5. I was looking at the attempts. But that's why I went with yardage over attempts for Sam Howell, because 35.5 is a really high line for a game where they might be running the football in the second half.
Yeah. You got anything else, Waleed?
Nope, that's it.
Ryan?
No,
Okay.
this is going to be a blowout.
I like Brian Robinson. I like 60.5. It's not one of my top 5 bets of the week, but it's definitely a bet that I'm considering making, maybe in some sort of like sleeper 2-leg or something. This game's probably gonna suck, but you never know. All right. So next up, we are going Bears at Lions. The Lions are 7.5-point home favorites. The money line for a Bears upset is plus 320, and the line is 47.5. Ryan.
All right. This game has 2 of my top 5 bets of the week right now. I'm going St. Brown over his 6.5 receptions and Jahmyr Gibbs over his 25.5 reception yards. Let's see. Chicago's like given up the 10th or 11th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, so I think that bodes well for Jared Goff's passing game. I'm hesitant to bet a St. Brown touchdown. I think the running backs are more keen to get the touchdowns in this game, especially after Detroit goes up by 14 or 21 points. I know that Fields is back, but who knows? He could get hurt again. And the only other thing I have on this game is I am betting the Lions minus 7.5. The Lions are 5-0 against the spread against teams that currently have losing records this season. So that seems like a smash to me. I know Tony's probably and Waleed probably got a lot in this game, so turn it over to you.
Waleed, what you got?
I also have one of your top 5 bets of the week, Brian. Jahmyr Gibbs over 25.5 receiving yards is my number 1 bet of the week. I knew that was going to be my number 1 bet right away, because how could it not be when the Bears are giving up the most receiving yards to running backs, and it's like, and second place is like 100-yard difference. Like, that is how you beat them. The Bears have one of the best run defenses against running backs, but from a receiving back standpoint, I think that Jahmyr Gibbs receiving over is just a smash play. I also think David Montgomery over 7.5 receiving yards is some sneaky value, because they will throw to David Montgomery. He is a good receiver, and that line is incredibly low against this defense. I might throw another bet on that one. My same game parlay for this game. It is Jahmyr Gibbs over 50 receiving yards. Jahmyr Gibbs over 3 receiving yards. Like, his line is actually 3.5 right now for receptions, but I kind of shaved it down to get to get it to 3.
Yeah, he's 4 plus 410 for over 50 yards. I like that.
Yeah, and an anytime touchdown. $5. I gave it a little bit of I gave it my 30% boost, and that gives it plus 73 odds, which makes it which pays out $37.65. Like, I say it all the time. There's a reason why I have a really good hit rate on my parlays. It's because I'm looking for single outcomes. You saw that with my Chargers bet with Musgrave, Reed, and Dobbs. They had low receiving lines against the worst pass defense in football. Jahmyr Gibbs, if Jahmyr Gibbs has 3 receptions, he will have 50 yards against this defense. Like, that's just how it'll work, because that's what they do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And all he has to do is find his way into the end zone on one of those catches, or just at any point in the game. So it's a great return on an outcome that, like, if one hits, they all probably.
It's true. I have some bets in this game as well. I am the third among us to have the Jahmyr Gibbs 25.5 receiving yards over as one of our bets of the week.
Have we all had the same top 5 bet this year? I feel like we had it once, and I don't remember which one that would have been.
I think we did. But I also took a David Montgomery anytime touchdown, because I think there's a little bit of there's always going to be a divisional revenge narrative. And last week, hearing that, Monty asked Gibbs, like, hey, we're on the 1 yard line. Do you want this touchdown? And Gibbs was like, yeah. So they swapped out. Like, if they get the ball on the 1 yard line, they're going to be prioritizing giving it to David Montgomery against his old team. So that's one of my top 5 bets of the week. And one of my Degenerates Gambits bets, one of the ones I liked actually the most is the under in this game at 47.5. These are actually like 2 pretty good defenses, you guys. This last year when these 2 teams played, they were shootouts. This year, I don't think they're going to be. I think these 2 defenses are going to hold it down. And I really think 47.5, when I saw that number, it screamed under. If it was like 43.5, I wouldn't touch it. But the fact that it's 47.5, that's a lot of points, you guys.
True.
It is, but I think the concern for me is we have Justin Fields back. And Justin Fields last year, when he had not even a full roster, but a semi-healthy offense around him, destroyed the Lions defense. The second game, the Lions destroyed them, but they were starting like Equanimous St. Brown and like just guys of that ilk. If you look at the starters, it was terrible. I'm kind of curious. Like, I'm really excited about what Justin Fields himself could do. I think his passing over at 203.5 might be a solid play because I don't think they're going to be able to run on the
Waleed.
Yeah,
Waleed, you've told me to let you know when you sound like you're getting too close to betting on Bears overs.
I'm not betting it. I'm not betting Justin Fields Bears over. But I'm telling you that the Justin Fields passing over is something that I have my eye on.
I'm not accusing you. I'm not accusing you of betting on it. I'm just letting you know you're getting a little too close to the sun there, Icarus.
Yeah. That's
fair. All right. Let's move on. Let's go Tampa Bay at San Francisco. The 49ers are 11.5 point home favorites. Buccaneers upsets plus 480, and the total's 41.5. Waleed, start us off.
So this game, I don't really have anything on it. I don't like this game very much. I don't want to bet it. I think Mike Evans receiving over could be a solid play because you can pass on to 49ers, but at the same time, I'm afraid to bet on any player doing well against the 49ers. It's so much could go wrong. So I'm just gonna quietly whistle and walk away from this game.
All right, Ryan.
I really like Frisco in this game. Right now, let's see. Frisco's going for their 6th or 7th 30-point game this season. I think this would be their 7th, I think. And they're just on a roll right now. I know that the Niners secondary is struggling. Let's see, they're giving up somewhere around a 74% completion rate since week 7, but they've only given up 120 yards total on throws from outside the pocket, and Mayfield does that a lot. That's the 4th best rate in the NFL. So I think Mayfield's going to struggle in this game. Let's see. I am really only inclined to bet. I don't know. Only thing I'm gonna really put money down on this game is Christian McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns. He's gonna be back and pissed after not getting a touchdown last week to extend his streak. But let's start it all over. Let's start a new streak and get 2 touchdowns. That's all I really want in this game.
That's huge. 2 touchdowns, huh?
Yeah. It's only plus 260, but
I had this pulled up and now shit is stupid on the fantasy points data suite. Where are you? Because one of my top 5 bets of the week this week is Rachaad White's receiving over at 26.5 receiving yards. Where are you at, Baker? All right, of all the quarterbacks starting this week, Baker is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Baker is 4th in check down percentage. Baker Mayfield throws his check down on 12.1% of his passes. The 49ers have like one of the biggest defensive line versus offensive line mismatches of the week. I think Baker's going to be seeing a ton of pressure, and I think as a result of that, he's going to be checking down. So I like the Rachaad White receiving yards. As for like DFS plays, I'm super into George Kittle this week. He's been tight end 1 over the last 3 games. He leads the team in target rate, leads the team in yards per route run. Do you guys remember we were talking about this last week? This new term that everyone's throwing around, splash zone targets.
Yeah.
So for anyone who wasn't paying attention or may have forgotten, the splash zone target is a target that's between the numbers more than 10 yards downfield. And those targets tend to generate the most yards after catch for tight ends. And George Kittle like leads the league in splash zone targets. He's got 10 first read targets, and over the last 3 weeks, he leads all tight ends in like everything. Now, Tampa Bay's a blitz heavy defense. George Kittle is 4th in PFF receiving grade against the blitz. He's 16th in the league in targets against the blitz. He's 1st in yards per catch, 2nd in yards after catch, 3rd in missed tackles forced per reception, 4th in 15 or more yard passing plays. It's a
Really?
George Kittle week in DFS. If you're not talking
Okay.
TJ Hawkinson to me, you're talking George Kittle. My worry is that like he might catch like 2 passes for 35 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
Ooh,
like to
yeah.
me, he's more of a DFS play than a specific like a betting line guy. But
Okay.
when we get to our DFS plays of the week, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So Rachaad
Oh
White's
yeah, guys.
receiving.
Oh,
What's
sorry.
up?
Go ahead. No,
My
continue.
so
I thought you
my
were done.
yeah my top 5 bet was the Rachaad White receiving yards. So
I
we're going to see
wanted to
it.
point out something real quick because I
Sure.
went back and looked. We only had one week where we all had a similar bet, where you, Tony, and I both had the David Montgomery rushing over, whereas Ryan had a David Montgomery touchdown. And I want to point out all of those bets hit that week. So for that
Let's
Jahmyr
go.
Gibbs thing, the fact that all of us are in alignment, I think bodes well.
Let's
Oh yeah.
go. All right.
One more thing about
Please.
this Frisco game. Bet the spread because the Niners are 13-2 against the spread in their past 15 home games as the favorite.
Nice.
Ooh, that's a
It's a good one.
good stat.
All right. Seattle, the Rams. In LA, the Rams are 1.5 point home favorites. Seahawks upset plus 100 on the money line, total 46.5. Waleed, what do you got?
Oh my God, that DK Metcalf line shot way the hell up. I had it at 62.5. It's now 65.5, and it was one of my top
Wow.
5
Oh
bets of the week.
wow, it went up that
DK,
much?
yeah, DK Metcalf is one of my favorite plays of the week. He's not up there.
He might not play, it sounds like
Yeah,
then, huh?
that's the problem.
Oh really?
Which is why DK Metcalf is such a strong play, especially this week. I love DK Metcalf this week.
Yeah, they don't have any reception lines either.
Yep. So it's one of those
Wherefore
things
art
you got to keep an
thou?
eye out. Though I will say that if Tyler Lockett does play, he instantly becomes a guy that I'm looking at as a guy that I want the over on because this matchup actually favors him a little bit more than DK Metcalf. But
Yeah.
DK Metcalf has just been a monster the last like 4 weeks of the season when it comes to receiving totals. Uh, uh, for 65.5, in 3 of his last 4 games, he would have hit that. He's the only one he didn't get it was Baltimore, and Baltimore's just a tough matchup. So I think his usage has been quietly going up in the second half of the season, and I just want DK Metcalf shares.
Okay.
He's mine. I want to say like over the last 4 weeks, based on usage, he is. Hold on, hold this up here.
We know.
He's my number 2 receiving play of the week based on matchup and projected targets. So like I'll take DK Metcalf over 70. I wish I had made a bet like when it was 62.5, but I'm not too worried if 65.5 still doesn't like phase me.
Sure. All right, Ryan.
Do we know that Stafford's playing for sure?
I believe so. I'm
Yeah.
operating under that assumption.
Okay. So with
Everything's
that,
listing him as if he is.
so with that knowledge, I'm going to smash Tyler Higbee's over at 26.5 yards.
Smart.
When Stafford is playing, Higbee gets yards. We all know that. Another guy I'm going to smash is Daryl Henderson's over at 41.5.
Yeah.
The Seahawks defense over the last 3 games have given up a little over 170 yards to rushing, and on the season they're like the 5th or 6th worst defense against running backs. And 41.5 seems really low for Daryl Henderson because they're not going to put a lot of confidence in Royce Freeman, I don't think.
So
And
yeah,
if it, well, go ahead.
I have 5.4 rushing yards per attempt to the running back position is what Seattle has been giving up as of late.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
leads the end. Oh no, it doesn't. It's second in the NFL after the Denver Broncos. But Denver Broncos are
Uh,
5.51. They're giving up rushing yards like the Denver Broncos are, which should
sure,
tell you all you need to know. So Daryl Henderson is actually a really sneaky good value there at that line.
sure. And I will take the Rams to win outright. The Rams against Seattle have covered against the spread in 6 straight meetings, and with that spread being only 1.5, I'm just going to assume that that's going to be a win. So that's all I got for this game.
Okay. I don't have anything in this game, but I definitely want some DFS game stacks for this one because I think this game could be a slate breaker.
Yep.
Ooh, that afternoon slate, yeah.
I mean, as you know, because in our super flex lineup that we built for TH Fantasy last night, we have a Stafford Puka stack because it is a good matchup for Stafford and for Puka.
Yep.
Sure.
And for Cup and for DK Metcalf and for Tyler Higbee and for Zach Charbonnet. Like there are plenty of opportunities here for a lot of people to deliver a lot of things.
The third
All right.
highest
Hell
total
yeah.
of the week.
Yep. All right, we're moving on. We are going to Buffalo, where there is a 7-point advantage being given to the home team. Bills 7-point favorites. A Jets upsets plus 270, and the total is 40 even. Ryan?
Let's see. All right, so this game is kind of hard to predict what's going to happen. Allen has played so shittily this season. I don't know what is going on. He just seems like he's throwing the ball to the other team half the time. And and the Jets
That was Ken Dorsey.
and the Jets defense is really good this year. I still think the Bills win. I don't think the Bills are going to lose to the Jets twice this year, but you never know. But I think they're going to split. So I think the Jets win. It could be a closer game than we think, so I'm hesitant to bet the spread. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm definitely hesitant to bet it the spread. The Bills are 0-6 against the spread in their past 5 games, and 0-5 against the spread in their past 4 games as a favorite. So don't bet the spread because this game could be pretty close. I could see it being 24-21 or something like that. I still think they win. So I do like their money line. And the only other guy I like in this game for catches would be Dalton Kincaid's over at 4.5 catches. I don't really like a lot of the other lines just because of with the receivers, just because of Sauce Gardner and their great um, uh, defensive backs. Uh, Other than that, I don't have too much on this game. So
Okay. Waleed?
So I'm done betting on Stephon Diggs overs because, like you said,
right,
Josh Allen looks broken. I can't trust him, and I'm not going to trust him. But the receiver that you want to be keeping an eye out in this game, this is from a projected usage standpoint and based on his opponent, is my number one receiver of the week, and that is Garrett Wilson.
Wow.
I think it is worth noting over his last 4 games, uh, Wilson has 12 targets, 13 targets, 13 targets, 14 targets. He has not had less than 7 receptions in his last 4 games, and his lowest yardage total is 80. So 68.5 is a pretty solid value play. And the Buffalo Bills defense has lost its best cornerback. It's like two of its best players. It's not what it was at the beginning of the year. Garrett's reception total, like his line is at 5.5, which if you look at him only having like a minimum of 7 targets over his last 4 games, I think if you add it, because the juice is on the over in that game, but if you take an alternate reception line here for Garrett Wilson and guess that he's going to have 7 catches, which he's had in his last 4 games, you're getting plus 142, which I think is a solid play.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
if you're that high on it.
Here's the problem with that though. That requires you believing in Zach Wilson, which is why I probably will not make this bet. It depends how my morning games go, but if I do well in my morning slate, I will probably throw. I might even throw a nice little parlay where I do 7 catches and then his over at 70 yards.
Sure.
And just add a little juice to see what happens.
Sure.
I think I like the yardage more than the receptions, and I don't have anything in this game, but I want to point that out because like he's a dude that I bet against this year for a yardage total against Dallas, and he only caught 1 pass, but he took it 80 yards to the house.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson's a dog.
So like, I'd be much more likely to put money on him hitting his yardage over than his catches over personally. So that's something, but I do like that play. That's something I'll be looking at between now and the 3:00 games tomorrow. All right.
Okay.
Been waiting all day for Sunday night, boys. Vikings Broncos. Broncos 2.5-point home favorites. Vikings are plus 118 on the money line, and the total's 42.5. Ryan?
All right. I will be going with the Vikings win at plus 118 and putting that with the Vikings plus 2.5. The Vikings are 4-0-1 against the spread on the road this season and 4-0 in their past 4 road games. So other than that, there's no lines up for any Minnesota receivers. Let's see. The only other thing, let's see. So believe it or not, for how Russell Wilson has done last year, he's actually on pace. He's on pace this year to join Peyton Manning as the only other Broncos quarterback with 6 or more games with multiple passing touchdowns and no interceptions. As we all know, Manning did that in 3 straight seasons from 2012 to 2014 once he was traded from Indy. So if Russell continues the streak, he's got 5 games with 2 or more passing touchdowns and no interceptions. So he just needs 1 more game. I don't know if that's going to happen this game because I'm confident in the Vikings to win.
Sure.
But as I said, we're missing a lot of lines for this game, so that's all I really got for this one.
Waleed.
So, my top 5 bet of the week is in like flux right now because I do not know what TJ Hawkinson's reception over is yet. I do know I'm going to smash it. He's averaging 10 targets a game. He's been killing it lately. I need to wait for that line to post when it does. Hawkinson is just an unbelievable play. Over his last 4 games, he's got 15 targets, 12 targets, 9 targets, 12 targets. He's got like a minimum of 6 catches in that span. And Dobbs likes throwing to his tight end. And Hawkinson's going to be a guy. I understand the reason the lines haven't posted is because Justin Jefferson will be back. But Justin Jefferson being back only makes me feel better about a Hawkinson line because it's going to lower his reception total. So I don't care about it. I'm taking Hawk. He's going to be a top 5 guy. I don't know what it is. When it posts, that's going to be my bet. One other thing I kind of want to point out here that might not be thinking about it, but Cortland Sutton plus 180 for an anytime touchdown.
There you go.
Sutton has had a touchdown in 7 of his last 9 games.
4 straight.
Honestly, you just got to ride the hot hand sometimes. I might, depending on how my morning goes, I might just throw $5 on that because I feel like I got a 50% chance of hitting that, and I like that with plus on.
Okay.
Other than that, nothing.
So this was my shits to riches game, pick to click.
Yeah.
I just think it's got sneaky shootout written all over it. I think it's going to be a Sunday night banger. Um, something that I'd like also going to tell you, Waleed, and talk about like waiting for the morning games and seeing what the bankroll looks like. In fact, real quick, I'm going to pull this up on Sleeper because I'm curious to see if they've got something that FanDuel doesn't. Sleeper tends to post lines that are a little like weirder. Like you wouldn't think that they would have these lines up yet. I'm going to see what they have here. Hawkinson does not have any numbers up yet.
Nope.
And
until Justin Jefferson has a line, they're not going to give it.
And there's no the thing that's really a bummer is there's no Ty Chandler line because
Oh no.
that's a play I'd really like to look at. Denver allows on average 2 yards per contact before 2 yards before contact on average rush. That's worse than the league. Ty Chandler's averaging 3.7 yards per carry this year, but on any run where he hasn't been touched within a yard or more, he averages 6.7 yards per carry. That's 26th in the league. I love Hawkinson. If you can do like we did last night, if you're doing any sort of super flex DFS lineup and you can have Sunday night exposure, I would suggest putting TJ Hawkinson in like we did. I love a Sutton run back there. I think that's awesome. Minnesota has the second lowest pressure rate in the league, and when Russell Wilson has a clean pocket, he's top 10 in big time throw percentage. He's second in touchdown passes, and he has an 80.3 adjusted completion percentage. That's third in the league.
And I wanna backtrack because I did say receptions for Hawkinson. What I meant to say was yards.
Okay.
I did receptions for him last week. The reason I want yards for Hawkinson is because the Denver Broncos were giving up the second most yards to the tight end position, and
Sure.
that's with one less game played than the number one team, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Sure.
They are like when you get a top 3 tight end against the worst defense against tight ends, you'd be stupid not to bet it.
Yep. I also have the Minnesota money line as my upset pick of the week for the Degenerates Gambit.
Oh,
So, we ready for Monday night?
hell yeah.
I'm always ready for Monday night.
All right, we got a banger this week. It's Philly and Kansas City in Arrowhead. The Chiefs are 2.5-point home favorites. The money line for an Eagles upset's plus 128, and the total is 45.5. Waleed, start us off.
There's only one bet that I'm really looking at here. I like the AJ Brown over 85.5 receiving yards. It almost made my top 5.
Okay.
I will probably bet it after my morning games are done. It's just look, it's very simple. AJ Brown gets a lot of fucking targets, like so many targets, and I like betting on a top 5 wide receiver getting a whole bunch of looks over his last his lowest target share was in week 2 with 6 targets. Otherwise, he's getting a minimum of 8 targets. He's hit over 125 yards in 6 of his 9 games. Like,
Right.
I just betting on AJ Brown is a good bet.
Would you pair the yardage, Waleed, with his 6.5 receptions? It's actually plus 102 for 6.5.
Really? I don't
Yeah.
know. Here's the thing. I like yardage more than receptions because the Kansas City Chiefs defense is actually a pretty good defense. So
Right.
I worry that this matchup isn't going to be the best thing for him.
Okay.
The Chiefs are giving up the 6th fewest yards to you know what though? I think you do pair it with receptions because while they're giving up the 6th fewest yards, they do give up a fair amount of receptions in those yards. Like,
Yeah, especially because I think there's a slight chance that Philly might be playing from behind a decent amount in this game.
yeah.
Did you have anything else?
No, AJ Brown's the only thing that's worth a look in this game.
I think Kansas City is going to be controlling this game, and Philly's going to have to pass a lot. The one receiver I do like for Kansas City is Rashee Rice because the Eagles are giving up like something like the most fantasy. It's either first or second most fantasy points to wide receivers, something like that. And his line is only at 46.5. I think that's a straight smash.
Yeah, they're giving up the 3rd most yards to the wide receiver position.
Yeah. right?
They're also
And
giving up the most receptions to the wide receiver. So
right. Um, I'm hesitant to bet the Kelsey over 7.5 receptions. That seems like a lot for him. Maybe if it was at 6.5. Um, and his yardage total seems like a lot. I might be more inclined to bet like a Kelsey touchdown. Um, I do think that this ends up ultimately being a Kansas City win. On Coach Andy Reid's career, he is 21-3 outright, and 15-9 against the spread in his career coming off a bye. All right. With the Chiefs, he's 8-2 outright and 5-5 against the spread off a bye. Uh, I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. Tony, you got anything?
Oh, you bet your ass I do. One of my top 5 plays of the week is in this game, and it's DeAndre Swift over 58.5 rushing yards.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
talk a little bit about why. So I call a lot of stuff from a lot of different places, and when multiple places like the same thing, that's when I do like a secondary dive and look a little bit deeper to see what it is that they saw and if I agree. And the Philadelphia running offensive line performance versus Kansas City's ability to stop the run is a gigantic mismatch, you guys. Um, Kansas City over the season's numbers haven't looked terrible. They're actually like right in the middle of the league in rush yards per game allowed total, which is at like 112.2. So they're like 17. So they're right there in the middle. But when we talk about the last 3 games that they've played, they've allowed 136.3 rushing yards per game. Um,
Really?
the cheat, yeah. One of the things that I love about playing IDP is like I get to be degenerate enough to know who the best linebackers are in football. And
Sure.
I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy, Nick Bolton. He's really good.
I love his brother,
Who's his
Michael?
brother? Michael Bolton?
Michael Bolton. Yeah,
Why should
Ryan was
why
with
should
me.
why should I have to change? He's the one who sucks.
Yeah,
Right.
Um, but
And I like all of his stuff.
Nick Bolton's on IR right now. So I think there's that second level opportunity there. Kansas City in rush defense for PFF has them 28th in rush defense graded. They're 32nd in EPA allowed. They're 31st in defensive success rate, 26th in average depth of tackle, 28th in run stops, and 29th in tackles for loss or no gain. So everything to me screams DeAndre Swift smash. And then once I have like hundreds of dollars in my FanDuel account after everything rocks this week, I'm gonna throw that in again with some AJ Brown stuff. And then possibly if you get one of those boosts from FanDuel to 3-leg it, maybe get
Yeah.
some Rashi Rice stuff in there too.
yeah.
So
Okay.
I'd like to point out also, DeAndre Swift is actually my number 3 running back of the week for yardage, like from an opportunity standpoint, based on opponent. So I do like the DeAndre Swift like line. I remember, and I know this because I didn't say it at first because I knew you were going to have him as a top 5 bet of the week. But when I first saw DeAndre Swift, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. And then I looked and I was like, I do know how I feel about it. I like it.
yes, sir. It's to me, it seems like a really common sense play. One of the things that I'm lucky enough to have the time in my personal life to do is watch Thursday Night Football. And when we did Farce Ball for the Chiefs and Broncos, we were like, why are they not just giving the ball to Javonte Williams? They're getting 9 yards a carry. 9,
So
8,
annoying.
12, 6, 14, 5. Like, and so I'm hoping that Philadelphia, who is primarily a run offense, will exploit that.
Yeah, the
So
nice thing about
Sure.
Philadelphia is you don't have to be like, why aren't you running the football? They want to run the football. They understand the value of running a football, and like, it's nice to bet on like good offenses too in a situation like this that knows like how to exploit the mismatches of another team. And the Eagles have shown they can do that. So
correct. So all right, let's recap. Let's go piece by piece here. So we'll all do our top 5 bets of the week. We'll all do our parlays, and then we'll all unveil our millionaire challenge.
Okay.
So if I pull up the running totals, the order we're gonna go in is Waleed, Ryan, and then me. Top 5 bets
hey,
of the week. Waleed, start us off.
I was gonna say I am the God Emperor. I get to go first.
Bring it on.
All right, so my top 5 bets of the week. I got Jahmyr Gibbs over 25.5 receiving yards. Luke Musgrave over 26.5 receiving yards. DK Metcalf over 65.5 receiving yards. Sam Howell over 251.5 passing yards. And TJ Hawkinson's receiving over when it posts. I don't really care what it is, because there's no way it's going to be over 80, and I'll take him at 80 yards. So I'm here for that.
Makes sense. Ryan, your top 5 bets of the week.
All right. My top 5 bets of the week: Amon-Ra over 6.5 receptions, Gibbs over 25.5 reception yards, McBride over 4.5 receptions, CJ Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns, and Luke Musgrave over 2.5 receptions.
Love that. All right, my top 5 are Jahmyr Gibbs over 25.5 receiving yards, Jaden Reed over 33.5 receiving yards, David Montgomery anytime touchdown, Rashad White over 26.5 receiving yards, and DeAndre Swift over 58.5 rushing yards. Waleed, your props, good sir.
So, and I said it before, because Tony has Jaden Reed over 33.5. I was agonizing between that, my Luke Musgrave, and my Romeo Doubs lines. And then I realized they're playing the Chargers, and every time I bet, I think I've only lost twice betting against the Chargers secondary on my parlays. Half of my wins have come from that. So I'm going to keep riding the hot hand. Luke Musgrave over 26.5 receiving yards. Jaden Reed over 33.5 receiving yards. Romeo Doubs over 32.5 receiving yards. $10 at 543 will pay out $54.40.
Okay.
Also, my same game parlay, my big same game parlay, is basically I'm betting on Jahmyr Gibbs blowing up the Bears defense because receiving backs do. Gibbs over 3 receptions, over 50 yards, and an anytime touchdown. $5 bet juiced at 30% with FanDuel. It gives me plus 753 odds, and I'm getting $37.65.
Okay. Ryan?
So let's see. My money line parlay. I went Jacksonville, Miami, Dallas, Detroit, and Washington. I went pretty chalk because I want one of these parlays to hit here. So that was plus 163. I put $10 down to win 26, a little over $26. And then my same game parlay, I went super ham because I want this game to just be the best game of the week. So I went with my top 2 bets of the week. McBride's over 4.5 receptions. Stroud's over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I paired that with Schultz over 47.5 reception yards. Wilson's over 2.5 receptions, and Stroud's over 262.5 passing yards. Like I said, it was somewhere in the 800s. I did my 30% boost. Ended up being plus 1073, $5 to win almost 60.
There you go. I have 2 same game parlays. The first one is a Cowboys build. It's Ferguson, Big Ferg, over 3.5 receptions. CeeDee Lamb over 82.5 receiving yards. Tony Pollard over 66.5 rushing yards in the Dallas money line. 5 units on that at plus 824 would give me back $41. And my second one is a Devin Singletary adjusted rushing line at 50 plus. Michael Wilson over 32.5 receiving yards. Trey McBride over 4.5 receptions. That's plus 276. I laid 5 on it to bring me back about $14. Now, it is millionaire bet unveiling time. Waleed, I think you have an announcement to make.
Do I have an announcement to make? Is that oh yeah. I'm taking my money I had out to not make this bet because I didn't have enough money in my account. So I'm going back to $10 for my bets. I'm cashing out and I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs over 60 receiving yards at plus 680 to pay me $778. Sorry, not 780.
Okay, Ryan, your millionaire bet, my liege.
So
Ryan is not your liege, all right? Respect the God Emperor.
So I went with my gut on this one and went with my mid-tier kind of shitty tight end of the week from TH Fantasy. I went with a Luke Musgrave anytime touchdown. Surprisingly, I thought it would be like 2-300 plus 2-300. It's plus
Yeah.
430, and that seems like some really good money. So $10 to start me over will get me 53.
Okay. So let's talk DFS, my friends. Let's talk our DFS plays of the week. And I hope you're ready, God Emperor. So bring it on. Tell us who your quarterback start of the week is for DFS purposes.
So my quarterback start of the week is my top 5 quarterback. I'm going Sam Howell. I think he's a nice value, and I like value. So Sam Howell is my guy.
Okay, Ryan?
CJ Stroud, quarterback. Yep.
CJ Stroud. That makes sense given all your bets.
Yep.
My quarterback, I'm also going to pay down. I'm going with Brock Purdy at 7,500 this week.
What a good
Interesting.
choice.
Yeah, got a lot of Brock Purdy this week. Waleed, your running back.
So my running back, and I reserved the right to get him out of my lineup if he isn't actually activated off of IR. But I want some Devin Achan.
Yes,
And
sir.
Yeah.
I think I just want the home run play.
Slate
It's such a
breaking
good
potential.
matchup. And if it's not Achan, and if Achan's not there, $200 cheaper, Raheem Mostert, because I love the matchup.
Yep. Ryan?
Are you going to take Gibbs, Tony?
No,
Because I have a
sir.
secondary. You're not? Okay.
No, sir.
All right. I'm going to take Gibbs.
Jameer Gibbs.
Based on our bets, no one should be surprised by that.
Hey, wait, is that one
Yeah.
of those good players in good situations
Yeah.
type moments?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you my secondary one once you go, Tony.
I'm going value again here, and I'm taking Devin Singletary at 6,500.
Okay. Nice. My secondary one is Brian Robinson. He should have a smash week
Okay.
again.
True.
So yeah,
Sure.
but let me throw out one more running back here. Tony Pollard at 6,900 could be one of the best value plays of the week.
It's true. All right, Josh, what you got? Charbs and Spears.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know what's gonna happen in that Buffalo game.
Yeah. Buffalo's, if you watch that Brett Coleman video I linked to, Buffalo's run defense is broken. Or run game. You don't want any share of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Charbonnet's starting to almost split the backfield with Walker. So
He's out snap Walker 3 weeks straight, baby.
Yep.
All right, Waleed, your wide receiver.
My wide receiver, I mean, it's DK Metcalf, obviously.
Okay.
My number 2 receiver of the week.
Of the week.
Ryan? You know what? I'm going to go with Tank Dell to pair with CJ Stroud.
There you go.
Love it.
I thought he died last week.
Yeah, right?
And he was just out there like 2 plays later.
That was a hospital ball for sure.
Yep.
Sure was.
Yeah. 14 targets.
My wide receiver play of this week should surprise nobody. I'm surprised it made it this far. It's CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb is 100% strong play.
Yeah, I went heavy at running back, so I didn't have a lot of money to spend up at wide receiver.
And that's kind of what I did too. But I plan on, like, when I make my lineups, I'm gonna have at least 25% like CeeDee Lamb exposure, because it would be stupid not to. The way he's being used.
Sure.
All right, Waleed, your tight end.
My tight end is going to be stolen from Ryan's mid-tier shitty tight end of the week. I'm going Luke Musgrave. Top 5 bet for me. He's got great value. I agree on the touchdown. I think the matchup is too fucking good not to go at that price of 5,200.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Ryan? You know what? I'm still going with Houston. I'm going Schultz.
Dalton Schultz.
Damn,
I love this.
I thought one of us would pick McBride, but that's not going to happen.
Well, he's I in the lineup that I'm doing in what's that? The Friends League or whatever.
Yeah.
The Football Absurdity Friends League.
The dollar lineup or whatever.
And I want to be clear, I have no friends in that league.
I have Schultz. I'm playing Schultz and McBride. So.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love it. Double tight end.
Yep.
My tight end play of the week is George Kittle.
Oh
George
yeah,
Kittle
you were on
George
him.
Kittle
yeah.
is George Kittle is my number 4 tight end of the week.
Like if you have a lineup and you can somehow get Kittle and Achane in it, you have like the potential to put up like those two guys putting up 60 points.
Yep.
Sure.
So, fantasy defense, Waleed.
I'm going Steelers against Cleveland. 4,000 is a good price,
Really?
and you got a rookie quarterback. Like I think it's a great combination of value and just
Okay.
and potential upside.
Makes sense.
I have another defense at 4,000. Starting the 49ers.
Yeah,
Okay.
49ers at 4,000 is a really good price.
Yeah, it's
I
a really good
definitely
value
have-
for the 49ers.
I definitely have some 49ers exposure in what I've already built. My defense is also right that same price as you guys. I'm going with Washington.
I like it. I
Okay.
like it. They were one I was looking at too.
So, do you want to talk about your lineup real quick and then we'll get out of here?
I'll throw out my lineup that I'm going up against you guys with.
Lay it on us.
My quarterback is Sam Howell, and I paired him with Jahan Dotson. My running
Okay.
backs are Devin Achane and Tony Pollard. I got Jahan Dotson with Howell, along with DK Metcalf, Puka Nacua. My tight end is Luke Musgrave. In my flex, David Montgomery with the Steelers defense.
Okay.
Okay.
Ryan?
So I pretty much ran through most of this already, but so I'm starting Stroud. I'm pairing him with Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz.
Okay.
All right, because that's going to be an awesome game. I'm starting Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Robinson. I've also got Jalen Reed, Green Bay against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I've got DeAndre Hopkins. And then in my flex, I've got McBride, and I'm starting Frisco's D.
Okay, you'll hear a lot of overlap here for our previous two on mine. I am rolling with Brock Purdy at quarterback. My running backs are Devon Achane and Devin Singletary. I have DeAndre Hopkins, Garrett Wilson, and I paid down to get Michael Wilson. George Kittle's my tight end. David Montgomery's my flex, and the 49ers are my defense. That's nice. I believe that's it. God Emperor, what do you think?
I think that is it. Make sure you guys link those into the group chat because I'm going to throw a nickel on both of those.
Okay.
Lineups.
Sure.
And no, that's it. I feel I like this week. I don't feel as strongly this week as I did last week, but I still feel pretty damn good. And I think let's make some money.
Yeah, hopefully you guys found this informative. Hopefully we all get paid and life is good.
Yeah, let's get some monocles.
Thanks for watching, y'all.
Oh, for Thanksgiving?
No, I'm good to record as usual.
I am too.
Well, okay, so there's going to be 1, 2, 3. There'll be 4 games already off the slate, because there's a Friday game and there's 3 Thursday games. So there'll still be plenty to talk about, I think, for Sunday games. It just might be a shorter show because there's gonna be 4 less games to talk about.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Let's party, y'all.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what else we got. Are we still on?